Located in Pomona, Kansas, Dave and Cindy Judd have built an incredible, diverse operation that has become one of the most well-known Gelbvieh and Balancer seed stock operations in the country. Their bulls and females can be found across the United States producing high-performing cattle. Today, their operation has grown quite a bit since they first started out. Dave and Cindy were married in 1979, and in 1980, when Dave graduated from college, they moved to Pomona from Fairbury, Nebraska, where they grew up and developed a love for ranching.
Cattle production has always been my passion. I guess I was fortunate. I knew what I wanted to do from the time I was 3 or 4 years old. Remember one time my grandmother and I, at that point my brand was the Lazy DJ. I decided to throw that one out. I didn't really like the word lazy.
My parents farmed, but we lived in town, so I was not raised around livestock at all until I met this guy, and we'd go to the county fair and he showed his cattle and I would help him some with that, but that was my first experience around livestock.
The secret is to pick a gal that's very tolerant and very supportive no matter how bad you screw it up.
Dave and Cindy started off raising many different breeds of cattle and put a lot of focus on the Brangus breed. During their time in the Brangus breed, the Judds sold quite a few bulls to Texas and Oklahoma. But it was in 1982 when the Judds saw the data from the Meat Animal Research Center that they decided to start building their Gelbvieh herd.
Bought our first bulls from bus ranches in Oklahoma at that time from Earl it was, and started getting acquainted with Jim Thomas, Bill Abel, and some of the people that were going there in the early 80s, and before long we were involved with Valhalla Ranch, with Lennis Hall some, and Nelson Ranch, and all of those. But starting out, we just tried the Gelbvieh to start out. We had quite a few commercial cows at that point also. Decided we'd cross the commercial cows with Gelbvieh bulls, and we were so impressed. Our first, at that time, we were weaning some registered Hereford calves, just coming off the cow, not 205 day weights, but probably not too far from that. They were coming in. We really thought we'd cut a fat cat when we had calves weighing 550 pounds. Lo and behold, some crossbred cows. When I say crossbreds back then, those would have been cows that had ear on them, just some pretty rough cows. We bred those to Gelbvieh bulls. We were basically 100% calf crop on mature cows. Pretty extreme growth genetics at that point in time. But I believe we had calves coming off of those cows weighing in the 8s, and our straight Hereford calves were weighing averaging about 5.5, so it was an extreme difference, and that pretty well convinced us that between the growth and then what the females were doing fertility wise, it pretty well convinced us that Gelbvieh was probably something we certainly needed to run with for a while.
And run with it they did. Judd Ranch held their first production sale in 1982, selling Gelbvieh and Brangus bulls. In the late 80s, they decided to disperse the Brangus herd and continue the ranch with their Gelbvieh herd. Today, Judd Ranch has over 650 registrations in the American Gelbvieh Association registry, and they rank in the top 3 Gelbvieh and Balancer seed stock producers. One of the females that they honor as one of their most impactful cows was N125. She was such a productive cow that if you go back far enough, she is in the pedigree of every animal on the Judd Ranch.
We all of a sudden decided we wanted to purchase some top cows in the breed to hopefully mainly raise herd bulls, but instead of just trying to buy individual bulls, we decided we'd try to buy into some cow families that were at the top. Figured that was the cheapest way to come up with the amount of bulls that we needed at the time. And so one of the sales we decided to go to, and one of the first sales we went to that was a hiked up breed sale was one of the Valhalla Ranch sales. N125 just happened to be a national champion female, and a female that they were very excited about. And so of course she was the highest selling female in that sale. And
at that time she was the highest selling Gelbvieh female when we bought her.
Yeah, they sold half interest in the female with the idea that we would do embryo transfer and on her and produce pregnancies, which we darn sure did, and she made hundreds of pregnancies in there. What a donor female. We told them we were interested, so we had a little meeting before the sale, and And that's when they started throwing in some recipient pregnancies, which we were happy to throw in on the deal too. And some of those calves were extremely impressive and did real well for us even right off the get-go. So that really got us off to a good start with Valhalla Ranch. And she so happened she was an Okie daughter, which Merle and Earl Buss had down there in Oklahoma. So that right away got us in with the Buss family down there. And even though we purchased some bulls through Jim Thomas and through Earl, clear back there in the early years, that really got the Buss family excited, and we had a lot of fun over that.
We've just kind of had people on board that, you know, certain cow families just kind of surface to the top just by going out into the pastures and doing an appraisal that way. And like the 285 cow family and the 254 cow families and the 253 cow family and the 53s and the 132s are some of them that have surfaced to the top.
The Judds are committed to their customers. They are always keeping the customer in mind when they make the breeding and selection decisions.
Our customers are basically cow-calf producers just like we are. The majority of them are going to sell those calves probably right off the cow as yearlings, so most of them are not as concerned about the feedlot and that end of it as, you know, some of the other segments of the industry. So we've tried to keep that in mind, and with that in mind, I guess the things that we always felt were important is what we think the Gelbvieh breed does best of all breeds, and that is produces more pound of calf per cow exposed than any of the other breeds. So weaning weight and fertility, along with a good teat udder structure, are the three things that we feel like can keep people in the cow business as long as anything else. Do everything we can to treat them right, but their loyalty is second to none if you just try to work with them, and if your genetics do anything for them at all. It seems like they're just an unbelievable group of people. You know, it doesn't matter where you go, most cow people are all the same, you know, as far as being really good people, not looking for fame or fortune. They just do it because it's a lifestyle that they love.
If anyone has ever met the Judds, they know that the Judds are the epitome of a family cattle operation. Every family member is actively involved in the day-to-day activities.
2 sons that I have to give Cindy credit for raising, I guess. Most of the time, at least till they got up old enough to run with their dad. But both of them, Nick and Brent, have been unbelievable. They've, you know, as soon as they could go with me, they were with us all the time. Never wanted to be left at home. Been a huge part of the operation ever since. Even all the way through college, I don't think there was ever a weekend that they weren't home, or every spare moment they had. They'd truck it 100 miles plus to get home and help on the ranch. So they've been a huge part of this operation. I guess that's the story at Judd Ranch, is family has been it. And then as the boys got old enough and picked their brides, we are 2 daughters now. We couldn't do any better with Ginger and Ashley. They've both been unbelievable.
We're fortunate because it just seems like people kind of pick up, and we're fortunate to have daughter-in-laws that also pitch in. And
Not only will you see each family member working the ranch, you will also see them every year at the National Western Stock Show. The Judds have been taking cattle to Denver since 1987, when Dave started bringing pens of bulls out to show and sell them. Since then, they won many championships and have exhibited high-quality livestock and represented the breed very well. One of the most influential people in the Judd Ranch over the years has been Roger Gates. Roger and his family have committed a lot of time and effort over the years to the success of Judd Ranch.
we actually met him the same night that we bought N125 at that sale, and he's kind of been on board ever since.
We were wanting to increase our advertising at that time, so Roger and Trish were very, very willing and very helpful at the start there, and did an excellent job. So we right away recognized that they were hungry for business and really wanted to try to give it their all. And I have to say that the Gates family and Roger in particular have definitely given it 110% from about that time right on through. And Roger's been a huge part of this operation as far as I've worked with him not only on matings, but with all the sales and even on some purchases of cattle.
Judd Ranch takes great pride in focusing on the development of their females and keeping the genetics strong within the Gelbvieh breed.
To me, one of the unique things at Judd Ranch is that we've, like I said, we've tried to key in on certain cow families. Because of a large-scale artificial insemination program, we've been able to line breed our cattle to a certain extent that's been, we feel like, quite successful. And it's enabled us to provide a product that probably has more genetic punch going out into the industry than what some programs that are more of an outcross situation would be. We have probably gone in just trying to outcross our cattle a little more and search for some genetics that may really bring some things in over the next few years. We've done a few more composites with more balancers and what have you that last the next few years. But that and just staying with the breeding program differentiates us from some of the programs that are out there.
Judd Ranch has certainly earned the right to brag about their operation, yet remain humble and thankful for the opportunities they have had and their experiences with their fellow AGA members.
No, I mean, that's the biggest honor you can have bestowed upon you by a breed association would be to end up in the Hall of Fame, which I'm sure most of the ones that are already there were way more deserving than we are. Very appreciative, and hope that we can darn sure make a mark in the breed before it's over, and that our family can continue with these cattle that we've been so good to us for so many years already.
When asked about what the next 10 years look like for Judd Ranch, Dave and Cindy want to focus on increasing the quality of their cows. They are also excited to see where their grandchildren are going to fit into the future of the operation. Dave and Cindy Judd have certainly contributed a tremendous amount to the Gelbvieh and Balancer breed and will continue to do so for many years to come. The American Gelbvieh Association is honored to induct Dave and Cindy Judd into the Hall of Fame for 2017.